taking the time to come to our AGM. I think we have about 40 shareholders who've actually logged into the website, into the webcast as well, which is great to see. I have about 14 slides to take you through. I'll take you through the year that's been, what we are currently doing on site, and how the future is looking for nickel as well. Just want to say that we have our Perth office staff here as well. So when you're having tea and coffee, feel free to have a chat to those guys as well. I'll skip through the usual disclaimers. This presentation has been lodged to the ASX website as well. So feel free to go through that later as well. In regards to the corporate overview, we have about 2 billion, just over 2 billion shares on issue. The share price at 14.5 cents give us a market capital of just under $300 million. Cash at the start of the quarter was 27 million. We have no debt, giving us an enterprise value of just over $270 million. Our largest shareholder is Western Areas. They came into the board in June 2020. They own just under 20%. And Zeta Resources, our second largest shareholder, they hold just under 17%, and they've been a shareholder, supportive shareholder of the company since 2013. The top 20 hold about 71% of the company. In regards to the board and management, you met the board here. The primary change over the last year has been Nick Sonata became the non-executive chair in May. And as Nick mentioned recently, Grant joined us as the CFO in September. And we also have Brian Watson, our site GM, who's running site at the moment here as well. So maybe put your hand up, Brian. Ask him all the operational questions later. A year is a long time in nickel, and I've been with the company a year now, and it feels like 10 years. That's how much stuff we've actually done. And it's been a story of two halves. At the end of last year, we came up with the operational review. We had IGO, withdrawing or their offer lapsing. We then had to downgrade our production profile. We changed our mining strategy from owner miner to contractor mining, and things were looking, it was on the mend, and it was getting better. And then COVID-19 kicked in, all the restrictions that started affecting site, and then we eventually had to put the project into care and maintenance in the middle of April. At the same time, we got a loan from our shareholder Zeta to give us enough funding to work through the issues we had, and we ended up starting a $90 million capital raising program in May. And that brought in Western Areas as a significant large shareholder in the company. The capital raising was finished in June. We paid out the debt, and that's when things started turning for the better for the company. So in July, we came up with a new life of mine plan, some conservative mine plan put into place. Based on that, we brought in Barminco to come and do some capital works, and since then we did some exploration in September, and by October we started getting some runs on the board with we decided to divest the Panton asset for $15 million. We started back reaming the ventilation raise, and we also started seeing some good results from our exploration program. So it certainly has been a very busy year. I'll take you back to the project now. So the project is still in the Eastern Kimberleys. It hasn't moved, and the nickel is still in the ground. So we certainly haven't lost any value there. Right now, the WA restrictions have been lifted, so we are able to fly from Perth to Kununurra through Virgin or Qantas. Then we drive on the Great Northern Highway to site, going past the Argyle mine on the way. And so everything, all the logistics routes is pretty much up and running. We currently have about 50 people on site working on the critical capital works. The map or the picture in the middle shows you our tenement package. So the red boundary is all our tenements, and the Savannah complex is right in the middle of their package. And you could see all the other prospective targets that we've identified in that tenement package, which we plan to drill into 2021 and further. We still continue to be surrounded by IGO on all sides of our tenement package as well. When we put the project into care and maintenance, the paste plant, the power station, the TSF, and the processing plant, they are all being maintained. So we still run the crusher on a weekly basis. We still run the mills on a weekly basis, just so that it's in a ready to start state when we want to. And all the environmental permits, the mining permits, everything that's required is in place. So what does the Savannah asset have? There is in resource, there's about 200,000 tons, or more than 200,000 tons of nickel at the moment. The reserve is just over 100,000 tons, which means we've only converted 50% of the resource into reserves. As we develop into Savannah North, we will be able to convert more of that, but there's significant amount of nickel there. The replacement value on the plant is $100 million, and as I mentioned, it's in pretty good condition. Savannah North is a untouched brand new mine, still there, and with more opportunities to open that. In April, when we put it on care and maintenance, we had the opportunity to finalize the new reserve and a new mine plan. And that mine plan identified that it was a good opportunity for us to complete some early capital works. That's the reason Barminco was brought to site, and then the rock contractors came in October to finish the fresh air ventilation race for us. And all that's being set up in a way so that the project is ready to start in 2021 when we choose to. Again, the project now is unhedged, so we're definitely exposed to the nickel price. The nickel price certainly has been going up in the last few months as well. On the current activities on site, and I have to say, other guys on site have done an absolutely fantastic job. It's been run safely, and everything at the moment is ahead of schedule. So if I were to talk about the FAR3 race, this is a project that initially it was behind time. It's taken a long time to get here. We had about 354 meters to complete, and when we put it onto care and maintenance. So we've recommenced that exercise. We were expecting to do about 100 meters a month. That's what we were thinking we would do. But the guys, within a month, they've basically done 250 meters. So that's why we think now that that job is going to be done in December instead of the March quarter. Barminco, on the other hand, have been working underground. So I'm just going to point the laser. So they're actually now opening up 4 levels here, which then gives us the opportunity to start production. In total, there's 45 levels in Savannah North. So this picture here, that's Savannah North, which is a new mine with a 13-year mine life in front of it. That's Savannah, which is the older mine, which was mined for 12 years. So you could see that that's what we did, and that's what we are going to do. And the colored sections are what we are planning to mine in the future 13 odd years. So when the fresh air race and the development is finished in December, we want to continue setting up the mine with these ancillary capital works, which is making sure the paste fill lines are ready to feed Savannah North. We want to make sure that the power reticulation on the surface is bulletproof, and refurbish one of the fans for the primary feed underground. So that'll be all done in the March quarter. And I'll talk about the exploration slides in a couple of other slides. So the new mine plan that we came up with in August is very conservative, and it's very different to the previous mine plan we had. Previously, we had a 7-year mine plan. Now we have a 13-year mine plan. The previous plan was reliant on the remnants of Savannah North, a larger volume, whereas the new plan is reliant on Savannah North producing the ore. And in regards to the conservative assumptions, I showed you the previous picture of Savannah, the old mine. that had a grade of 1.3% nickel, whereas in the new mine plan, we brought the grade down to 1.2%. And the dilution in the old mine, this is when you're mining it, it was about 12%. Whereas in the new mine plan, we've increased it to 22%. So we've just taken conservative assumptions to meet plan when we start. And on the processing side, very similar things. It's a 1 million ton per annum processing plant, but we are only planned it for about 900,000 tons. The project will produce about 9,000 tons of nickel, and it'll be still a clean bulk concentrate of nickel, copper, and cobalt. So this, conservative plan gives out some, very attractive financials. When you look at the cash costs, we've actually put in all the cost under the sun so that it's very transparent. So that's why when you look at either the base case or the consensus case, you see the cost being about $7 to $7.50 for a pound nickel. And the pre-tax cash flows are around the 468 million to the 637 million mark. We certainly have some opportunities to improve those financials. So as I mentioned, dilution alone is 22% at the moment. But when we mine, we'll mine, to a high standard, which will increase the grade. And that should see improvements on the cash flow. And one of the things that we are noticing is recently we've been speaking to our offtake partners or various offtake partners about new terms and also looking at prepayment options. And what we are finding is that the offtake terms after the new contract finish, after the existing contract finish in February 2023, the terms are quite attractive. So we still have a long way to go to negotiating those terms, but certainly will be an uplift to the cash flow. Then there are other opportunities. So the Argyle airstrip, I mentioned Argyle is on the way to site. Argyle is shutting down. So it gives us an avenue that if we can use their airstrip, it actually frees up some of our logistics constraints. And the other one, and it's a longer term project, is the hydropower. The vision that we have is that we could be a clean energy producer from start to finish. Argyle mine has the hydropower at the moment. There's 60% of the capacity is now available. So we are working with the stakeholders, the WA government, to try and come up with a solution that's a win-win for everyone. But that'll be a nice, clean, nice way to go into to bring hydropower to site and reduce our cost base as well. So this brings us to the question of when is the restart going to happen? And I have to say, when we look at the potential restart, there are 6 key tasks that we are keeping a very close eye on. The first one was we always said we want to get the capital projects done so that the project is de-risked, which is what we're doing at the moment with the FAR3, the opening, the mining levels, and the infrastructure projects. The next one is to keep an eye on the metal price. It'll be great to see nickel at, sustained around about the $10 a pound Aussie. At the moment, it's $9.97 at today's price, so it's definitely getting there. And the other important things are the restrictions around COVID. So the WA border has been opened up, which certainly is going to make sure that the labor is available, and we are keeping a closer eye on it. But more importantly, Sweden and Finland, where the underground equipment is going to come from. So we're just watching that production pipeline. Labor is going to be a tricky part. I think labor is a little bit tight, and hence we are looking at some different models. So mining contractor is going to bring the mining workforce, but we are looking at a processing contractor model as well against an owner mining model, against an owner operator model, just so that we can de-risk that and have a high certainty on delivery. And that's again work in progress. The other one is around mining equipment. We are just in the process of agreeing with Barminco to lock in equipment. The lead times are increasing, and the next shipment of equipment now that's locked in is around the June-July mark. The last one is around the funding requirements or the capital requirements for the restart. As we speak to all our offtake partners around prepayments and offtake terms, one thing that we are finding is that there is a lot of commitment to a prepayment facility. Again, it's because of this nickel sulfide concentrate we produce. We are selling Panton, that'll bring us between 12 and $15 million. And if we end up with a small working capital facility, we've got plenty of funds in front of us. When I look at the top 6 there, items that we are looking at, it will be the labor and the mining fleet that we'll have to manage very, very closely. And we are practically working towards resolving those. I'll now flick to the exploration side. There hasn't been much drilling done or exploration done other than Savannah and Savannah North. And in September, we started 3 holes. They were scouting holes that was targeting the Oxide project, Stony Creek, and another prospective target north of Savannah North. That program has been the plan was we drill, we then do downhole EM surveys, followed by more drilling. We haven't done the additional drilling at the moment. That's planned for the March quarter. But what we found as part of the geophysics exercise is that hole north of Savannah North had some interesting, strong conductors. That has our geologists a little bit excited because when you look at Savannah, that ran for 12 years. Then 800 meters north, we found Savannah North, which has got a 13-year mine life. And about 800, 900 meters along comes this new conductor. So there's more work to do, but I think our guys are definitely on the right track. Underground, we are still drilling. And if you have a look at that picture down here, we are drilling from the Savannah mine into Savannah North. It's to target the lower zone of the lower part of the upper zone. There are 2 EM plates that our guys wanted to try and hit. It's been slow drilling, so the drilling is still carrying on. It's been basically on single shift because we wanted experienced drillers and labor was an issue. And we didn't want to miss the target because it's 900-meter long holes. You want to get it in the right spot. I do think that the drilling is going to be finished in November, end of November, and drilling results should come through sometime in December. Looking at the market itself, where the nickel demand is coming from, in the short term, it's certainly driven by stainless steel. When COVID hit earlier this year, you could see that the supply and the demand both dropped down, but the demand certainly dropped more than supply, and then it resulted in a surplus of nickel in the stockpiles. That then saw the nickel price come down as well. It's only now that's been rectified, and you could see that nickel price has gone to nearly $16,000 a ton, whereas in the early stages of COVID, it was below $11,000 a ton. So there certainly is a turnaround on the stainless steel side right now. But longer term, though, it's all about EV. The electric batteries, electric vehicles, clean energy. And you could see that, I don't know how many of you rocked up in your Tesla today, maybe Peter Harold, but everyone is now looking at, the Teslas, the electric vehicles, and that's where even the governments are actually going. The Chinese government, the European governments, they're all developing or moving towards a clean environment. And recently, everyone, most of you would have listened to the Tesla Day that was held in September. Elon Musk is looking at building more gigafactories. All those gigafactories need nickel because that's what's going into the batteries of their cars, and that's their primary feed for the batteries. So the whole world, I think, is changing. And just on the Teslas, I won't talk about how good a Tesla is, or I won't talk about how fast it goes, or how good it is, and how cheap it is to run. But the world is changing, and everyone is going towards the Teslas. I don't have a Tesla, but I do have an electric push bike, right? Now I ride from Frio to Perth, every second day. That battery is 4 kilos, right? 50% of that battery is actually nickel. So even the battery, the nickel is kind of made into that. You look around your house, we've got a solar storage facility, a battery there, and that's got nickel in it. And you look around the neighborhood and you could see people are all doing the same thing. You know, there's a appetite for being clean. Everyone wants to reduce waste, and everyone's going down the nickel sulfide route to make sure that the batteries are stable. So that's where I think the supply chain is becoming more and more important. The consumers are definitely looking at it, and that's where with Savannah we have a long road in front of us. So listen, I think I might bring it to the value proposition that we have. Don't forget that our asset is in the backyard of WA. It's safe operating areas. We have the infrastructure is in place, $100 million worth, and it's in a ready-to-go state. And Savannah North, you would have seen the picture. It's a brand new mine, open in all directions. And as I mentioned, the cash flow from the project, based on conservative assumptions, they are all pretty good. So I think the ducks are lining in nicely for us, and 2021 should be a cracker of a year. So I'll stop there. Any questions? Anything online? That's it. Easy done. Tea, coffee. Easy.
Thanks, everyone. Please join us for a cup of tea or coffee outside.